Hey guys, what's up? It's Mike Chen. Welcome to the first of many of the mukbang series. And I do want to give a disclaimer. So some of the topics, some of the stories I'm going to be telling you, it might get a little dark, it might get a little graphic. Of course, I'm going to keep it as PG-13 as much as I can, but some of these stories, they do have pretty graphic elements. So just a warning. By the way, welcome to my house. Big Bertha number 2. Bigger Bertha. Well, it's the same size, but I found another Big Bertha. So this is perfect. This is my kitchen. I'm in my New York home right now. I've since left Seattle in New York City, middle of the woods. I no longer have to fear smoke detectors going off. I'm just gonna try, not to burn down my house. I am gonna turn this up, so hopefully the power doesn't get too overwhelmed. I think we're good. And I have all sorts of meats surrounding me. A lot of ribeye. I got a lot of great looking cuts of ribeye, a lot of great looking beef. I got some perilla leaves, dipping sauce. I'm only going to use a little sesame oil, salt and pepper. Start me off with some short rib and pork belly, thinner pork belly, thinnest pork belly, little short rib. Look at the marbling on this baby. Grab me a pair of scissors to make this experience authentic. Jazz it up with bits of kimchi. That marbling was not just for show. Oh yeah, happiness for me is middle of nowhere in the woods in my cabin, surrounded by like 10 pounds of meat just stuffed in my face, using a big grill as my plate. That is how I define happiness. Oh, so fatty. No wonder these are like the king of Korean barbecues. Go to your local Korean market. You can pick up Big Bertha. Pick up a tub of kimchi that I got sitting over there. Take it home, eat it with your family, no risk, pure reward. To quote the amazing Chandler Bing, could it get any better than this? Nah. I don't think so. Let's get to the stories. So these stories I'm about to tell, they are kind of graphic. So again, like the whole warning thing, take heed. The first one is a popular urban legend. I don't know if it's a popular urban legend in Asia or in the West, but the way I heard it, it happened in a Chinese school dormitory. So what happened was there's a university in China and they have a curfew. So the gates to the dormitory, the gates to the entire university and the dormitory locks exactly at midnight. So anybody who's not there before midnight, they get locked out. And when the doors close, you really can't get into the dormitory. But one day, what the students found really weird was that a local girl selling red dresses started going around the dormitory, knocking on each door after midnight, one by one, asking people to buy her red dress. And this is really weird for many reasons. One, how did she get in? She got in like after midnight, which is pretty much impossible. Secondly, I mean, who sells stuff after midnight? But she was going around door to door, knocking on each door and talking loudly, asking if they wanted to buy a red dress, to the point where like the whole dormitory was disturbed. No one could really get any sleep. But of course, everyone was like, no, I don't want to buy a red dress. Who wants to buy a red dress at midnight? Unless like you're marrying Satan or something. So everyone kept turning her down, but she kept coming back night after night, even though everyone has refused to buy the dress. So finally, one of the girls living in the dorm, she got fed up, completely fed up. So when the girl knocked on her door again, trying to sell the red dress, she screamed at her loudly saying, fine, you know what? I'll buy the red dress. Sell me the red dress. After she screamed at the girl trying to sell the dress, the girl didn't seem upset. She seemed really, really calm and very happy. And she told her very calmly that she will have her dress delivered in 7 days. And then she just walked outside the dormitory. She didn't ask for money or anything, and she never came back. Round 2. Over a week later, the police showed up at the female dormitory, and all the students were kind of curious, like, why are you guys here? What happened? So the police told them that one of the students haven't been to class in several days. So the teachers got worried, the parents got worried, so they wanted to check on her and make sure she was okay. Everyone, of course, felt really anxious, so they followed the cops to the door of the girl who hasn't showed up for class for a few days. And when the cops opened the door, it was a horrific scene. The girl was laying in bed covered in blood. And then everyone realized that that was the girl that bought the red dress from the sales girl. And the way she died, she was laying in bed, her entire body covered in blood, just as if she was wearing a red dress. The lesson of that story is, first of all, don't be rude to salespeople. Secondly, and I can relate to this, most things that I bought after midnight, I regret it. I mean, none of them ever kill me, but good rules to live by. All right, this next one is one of the scariest urban legends from China. All right, this one is graphic and it is insanely scary. There was a young boy and girl from the same village. The boy's name was Joe and the girl's name was Ming. Yeah, see the connection? I'm making Trader Joe and Trader Ming into a love story. And the thing is, they could actually both be Chinese names. Ming and Joe grew up in the same village. Ming came from a very nice family. Her family had money. They were gonna send her to college, and Joe's family was very poor. They didn't have a big house. They didn't have enough money to send Joe to school. But Ming and Joe were deeply in love. They grew up together. They played together. It was like very much like a Jenny and Forrest Gump situation. The handsome boy and the beautiful girl was the love story of the village. So finally, after they both graduated high school, Ming was gonna go off to college, but Joe couldn't afford it. But Ming was so in love with Joe, she begged her parents to cover Joe's tuition and expenses because she told them that one day they were gonna be family. So that's what Ming's parents did. They both went off to college and things were going great for a while until one day, Joe met somebody else, and call it love, call it infatuation, whatever it was. Joe's heart completely changed and he did not want to be with Ming at all anymore. Of course, a good guy would have told the girl how he felt, but that's not what Joe did. So Joe decided to date the other girl behind Ming's back because he still wanted Ming's family to pay for his college. But one day Ming found out and they had a devastating breakup. Ming was so sad. Her heart was crushed. The one guy she grew up with, the one guy she thought was going to be her future, someone who she was so kind to, was actually a despicable cheater. She could not get over the grief, so she left Joe one last message, and then she climbed to the top of her dormitory and jumped. After Joe got the message, he knew of Ming's plan, so he raced to Ming's dormitory. But when he got there, he already saw a crowd of people and the police surrounding something. So he pushed through the crowd and rushed through the front, and that's where he saw Ming's lifeless body. As he stood there staring at Ming with complete disbelief, he saw a priest, a Taoist priest standing next to him, and he saw the priest let out a long sigh. And he saw him shake his head. Then the priest looked over at Joe and saw his shocked expression and said, "Do you know this girl?" And Joe said, "Yes, she was my girlfriend." And then the priest told him in a low, stern voice, "If you're the reason why she did this, you will soon die." Joe was completely shocked, and at the same time, he was terrified because of how serious the priest was when he was talking to him. So he asked the priest, "Sir, why are you saying that?" The priest pointed to Ming's body, which by that time's already been covered up with a blanket. But Ming's right hand was sticking out, and in her hand held a little batch of dark hair. So the priest told him, "You see that? You see the hair she's holding? I bet you that's your hair." And also, when someone dies such a violent death, they become a malevolent spirit, and she's going to use your hair to track you and take your life. Upon hearing this, Joe was terrified. Right away, he dropped to his knees in front of the priest, asking him, begging him, "Master, please tell me, how can I get out of this? There's got to be a way to solve this." The priest said, "Yes, there's a way, but it's not going to be easy and it's not foolproof." So Joe said, "Whatever it is, I'll do it." So the Taoist priest wrote Joe a bunch of talismans, and he told him on the 7th night at midnight, that's when the spirits will rise. So make sure on that night to stick the talisman all over his room, which will further dull the spirit's senses. And also to lay out an outfit that he would usually wear on the bed and to hide under the bed. This way, when she tracks your scent and thinks that she sees you lying on the bed but actually can't find you or kill you, she's gonna give up and go away. But the important thing is you must close your eyes. You cannot even look at her, because if you do, you will be scared to death. So Joe thanked the priest and went home. For the next week, he was so nervous, so terrified. But on the 7th day, right before midnight, he put the talisman all over the room. He laid out an outfit that he would normally wear, and he hid under the bed. Right around midnight, he hears the stairs right beside his apartment, but he didn't hear footsteps like he was expecting. All he heard was thump, 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 thump. Then he heard his door rattle violently, so hard that all the locks broke off. And then he heard the thumping inside his own apartment. Thump, 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 thump. He frantically closed his eyes as he heard the thumping approach the bed. Thump, thump, thump. Then he heard scratching on top of the mattress and a woman's wailing, shrieking voice saying, "I can't find him. Where is he? I can't find him." Joe was so scared, hiding under the bed, just praying to anybody who would listen, hoping that she would go away. He heard the thumping sound all over his room now. Thump, 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 thump. Quicker and quicker and more frantic. And the voice just keeps shrieking, "Where is he? Where is he? Where is he?" Speaking of things that were missing, I'm missing some pork belly in my mouth. Round 3 soon. This is definitely my favorite. Anyway, where was I? The thumping, more and more frantic. The voice, more and more shrill. All of a sudden, everything stopped. The room got deathly quiet. And Joe couldn't help it anymore. And Joe thought, okay, I think she's finally gone. She couldn't find me. She's finally gone. So he slowly opened his eyes and stared out from under the bed, right into the blood-soaked face of Ming's ghost staring directly at him from under the bed. The ghost slowly smiled and said, I found you. The next day, Joe's body was found in his apartment. His eyes looked like they were about to pop out of his head. His mouth formed a silent scream. And it was determined that he died because he saw something that truly terrified him. When the Taoist priest heard of Joe's death, he was absolutely shocked. He was thinking, the talisman I gave him, the directions I gave him, this all should have saved his life. What could have caused the ghost to find him? All of a sudden, he realized something and rushed to the police department, and he asked them about the specifics of Ming's death. The police were very confused why a Taoist priest wanted to know, but since he was a priest, so they thought maybe like he was handling the funeral or something, so they told him the details of her death. And when the priest heard all this, he finally understood, especially when they got to the part where they said, when Ming jumped off the building, she hit the ground head first. Because you see in Chinese lore, when a person dies in a circumstance similar to Ming's, whatever part of the body hits the ground first, that will be the part of the body the ghost will forever wander around on. So the thump, thump, thump that Joe heard in his apartment was the sound of Ming's head hitting the ground. Therefore, hiding under the bed is what killed Joe. Okay, time for round 3. Who's got a pair of chopsticks and is hungrier after hearing that story? This guy. This guy. All right, one more story. This is a real story from a fan who wishes to remain anonymous. And this is a story about her mom's passing. This is a really creepy story. This family was from Mexico. And this story is about how this person, of course I don't know their name, I'll call her Pam. It's about the suspicious events surrounding Pam's mom's death. So Pam's mom, when she was young, she fell in love with a boy. And finally, when she had enough guts to tell the boy how she felt, the boy was already in a relationship with another girl. But upon finding out that Pam's mom really liked him, the boy broke off the relationship with the girl he was seeing and started dating Pam's mom. And of course, the girl who he broke up with was not happy about this. And let's call this girl Beatrice. That sounds like a good witch's name, right? Beatrice? Sorry if I offended any Beatrices out there. Like, what would be a good witch name? Sarah Jessica Parker? No, she was pretending to be a witch. Anyway, we'll call her Beatrice. So Beatrice was really upset, and she told Pam's mom that she's gonna put a curse on her. And apparently Beatrice came from a family that practices voodoo. Pam's mom didn't really think too much of it because they were young, and eventually the guy and her broke up anyway, so they went their separate ways. Eventually, Pam's mom, of course, met her dad. They fell in love, and they had Pam in a happy family, a very loving, happy family, and they eventually relocated to the US. So this happened when Pam's mom was around 40 years old, and one day Pam's mom had a nightmare. She woke up, and because they were sleeping in the same bed, her mom told her about it. She told her that Beatrice came to her in a dream and said that it was time. And she was pretty freaked out by it, and that's when Pam's mom told Pam about the whole entire curse thing. So Pam didn't really think anything of it, and she went off to school. When she came back though, she saw something really strange. She saw her mom praying outside of their house. And she walked up and asked her mom why she was doing that. Her mom was scared and told her that she found a dead rattlesnake curled up on her front door. This combined with Beatrice coming to her in a dream telling her it was time terrified her. In the next few days, things just got weirder. So Pam and her mom would sleep in the same bed oftentimes because her dad would often fall asleep on the couch. That night around 3 a.m., all of a sudden they heard knocking outside of their apartment window. And they were thinking maybe it's a neighbor who forgot their front door key that wanted to be let in or something. So they opened the curtain. Outside there was a man, and behind him there was 3 other guys just throwing cans around and making a ruckus. And the man looked straight at Pam's mom and asked her, "Where is Tony? I'm looking for Tony." Of course, no one named Tony lived there, so Pam's mom just told him, "We don't have a Tony here. There's no Tony here." But the man got really agitated, saying that, "You're lying to me. There's a Tony here. There's a Tony here. You're lying to me. Bring me Tony. I want to speak to Tony." It was a very scary situation. Obviously, it was 3 o'clock in the morning, so Pam ran to grab her father from the couch. So she woke her dad up and brought him to the window. And when they got to the bedroom, all they saw was her mom praying by the window. But when they looked outside, no one was there. No cans were there. The yard was quiet and neat as if no one's been out there. Her father didn't really think anything of it, just went back to the couch and went to bed. But over the next several days, more and more strange things happened. All the fish in the fish tank the family keeps in the apartment started to die one by one. The family's van caught on fire, and eventually Pam's mom got really sick and passed away. The next day, Pam's mom's parakeet died, and then the days after that, every single bamboo plant that Pam's mom kept started to die one by one. And in the apartment, Pam's mom had a tiny little store where they sold treats and things like that. And about a week after her mom passed, a couple of older guys came by to buy some goodies. And then Pam told them that we're no longer open, obviously, because my mom passed away. And the two guys expressed their condolences, but said something really strange. They said, wait a minute, we came by a few days ago and we saw your mom in the kitchen. We saw her through the kitchen window. And that's why we rang the door to your shop, because we wanted to buy some snacks, but she never answered the door. Of course, that would have been impossible because Pam's mom died a week ago. And one final strange thing was that when Pam finally found out the name of her mom's ex-boyfriend, the one who she allegedly got cursed over, she found out that his name was Anthony, aka Tony, the person that those men were looking for at 3 o'clock in the morning before they suddenly disappeared. I mean, I don't know about you. I 100% believe in curses. This is why I never go antique shopping. I don't even go inside an antique mall. Like, for example, the Japanese believe that any object, if they've been around for over 100 years, they will have some sort of spiritual element or a spiritual connection to somebody or some sort of supernatural properties to them. So anything cursed, anything even like I think might be cursed, I'm not going near. But thank you so much, Pam, for the story. Obviously, your name's not Pam. I don't know your name, but thank you so much for sending the story. If you guys have any other really scary stories, the email to send it to is storyformikey@gmail.com, storyformikey@gmail.com. And that wraps up our first scary story mukbang. Next up, we're gonna do some true crimes or some historically unexplained things. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, that bell, whatever. And if you like the story, you like the food, whatever, please hit that like button. I would really appreciate that. Thank you all so much for watching. See you next time.